It was a cold October night when Ethan missed the last bus home. The only way to reach his small town was an old railway line that most people had forgotten. The station was almost empty. Only one train stood on tracks. It looked decades old, with faded black paint and cracked windows. There was no station announcement, no ticket checker, and no passengers waiting. A rusty sign above the platform read, "Black Hollow, final departure." Ethan had never heard of Black Hollow. He checked his phone. No signal. The train doors slowly creaked open on their own. A freezing wind pushed him forward. Without thinking, he stepped inside. The moment his foot touched the floor, the doors slammed shut. The train began moving. Inside, everything was silent. The lights flickered. The seats were covered in dust. Old newspapers lay scattered across the floor, dated more than 40 years ago. As Ethan walked through the empty carriage, he noticed something strange. Every window showed complete darkness. Not trees, not stations, just endless blackness. Then, a little girl appeared at the end of the aisle. She wore an old white dress and held a cracked porcelain doll. She wasn't walking. She was simply standing there, watching him. Ethan blinked. She was gone. His heartbeat quickened. He hurried into the next carriage. This one wasn't empty. Several passengers sat perfectly still. None of them moved. None of them breathed. Their faces were pale. Their clothes looked decades old. One man slowly turned his head. His eyes were completely black. Without opening his mouth, Ethan heard a whisper inside his mind. "You shouldn't be here." The lights went out. Darkness swallowed the carriage. For a few seconds, there was only silence. Then came a sound. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Getting closer. When the lights returned, every passenger had disappeared, except one. An old conductor stood only a few feet away. His uniform was covered in dirt. His face was cracked like dry stone. He held an ancient ticket punch. In a calm voice, he asked, "Ticket?" Ethan shook his head. I don't have one." The conductor smiled, a horrible smile that stretched far beyond a human face. "No ticket, no return." The conductor pointed toward the final carriage. "You belong with the others now." The lights exploded. Glass shattered. The train suddenly accelerated. Outside the windows, shadowy figures began running beside the train. Hundreds of them, their twisted faces pressed against the glass. Scratching, smiling. Try to get inside. Ethan ran. He pushed through carriage after carriage. Each one became stranger than the last. One carriage was flooded with black water. Another was filled with empty coffins. The next had hundreds of clocks ticking backwards. Finally, he reached the last carriage. There was only one door. Above it were the words, "Final stop." The train suddenly screeched to a halt. The door slowly opened. Outside stood an abandoned station buried in thick fog. A wooden sign read, "Black Hollow." No buildings, no lights, only silence. Then, the passengers began stepping off the train, one by one, slowly disappearing into the fog. The little girl turned toward Ethan. She smiled sadly. "We still have time." Then she vanished. Behind him, the conductor whispered, "Choose, leave, or stay forever." Ethan gathered every bit of courage he had. He jumped off the train. The moment his feet hit the ground, the train let out a deafening whistle. It pulled away, slowly disappearing into the darkness. Within seconds, the station was gone. The tracks were gone. Everything had vanished. Ethan found himself standing beside an abandoned road at sunrise. Police later found him wandering alone. He told everyone about the ghost train. No one believed him. Years later, while searching old newspaper archives, he discovered a shocking headline. "Black Hollow Express disappears in 1982. All 143 passengers missing." The newspaper included a photograph. Ethan stared at it in horror, standing beside the conductor. Among all the missing passengers was himself, looking directly into the camera, smiling, even though he had never been there. Or maybe he had never truly ESC.